so somewhere in there, I went backpacking around Southeast Asia and ate a bunch of bugs. And I came back.
How old are you at this point?
Not young. Like at that point, I'm 30.
Yeah, cool.
So I came back and I was all fired up and like started talking to my friends about how I had been eating these insects, and I read online about how edible insects are really good for the environment. And there was a university in the Netherlands. Like I kind of went deep in the internet. This is not like readily surfaceable. And there was a university in the Netherlands that was and is still like the world's mecca for research about the sustainability of edible insects. And they ended up publishing this huge report in 2013 in collaboration with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. And they came to the conclusion that if people all over the world would eat insects, that it could stabilize the global food supply. And at the time, my co-founder Leslie and I were like experimenting with weird foods that had bugs in them. And
was this Biddy at this point? Like, did you start the company, or you were just
no?
friends?
At first, well, we were friends, and we were talking about it, and we were sort of socializing the idea that this was like an innovative thing that was happening. But we hadn't decided to fully like make the jump and turn it into a company. And it was really that UN report that sort of catalyzed this into being a more serious thing. And then we were like, yeah, this is actually a business opportunity, because this is a trend that is happening. Like it's on a course. It might take a while. We're not really sure how quickly we'll actually get, adoption of this new element of food culture, but it's going to happen. And we started Biddy, and I had the opportunity to speak at TEDx Manhattan. Like I just submitted a proposal, didn't have a company yet. They said yes for some reason, and I served cookies at this conference and talked about how edible insects could save the world, and people like rushed out at the lunch break, ate all the cookies. Vogue magazine wrote about it, Elle magazine wrote about it, the New York Times wrote about it, and people started emailing us being like, great, where do we buy the cookies? So we threw up a website and offered pre-orders on the cookies, and told people that they wouldn't ship until May. Even though it was like February. And we got a lot of like, nasty grams, like where are my damn cookies? But we shipped them eventually, and that got us started. Like we had revenue from day one before we had a product. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. And like, when did you start? So before the company, before the talk, when did you start cooking with insects, and like how was that received amongst your peer group?
So after I came back from Southeast Asia, I was talking about this, and I was kind of like also, sort of socializing the idea to like get myself excited, because I was like, this is so interesting, but you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is. Like at some point, you're going to have to deal with like a live container of bugs, and it takes quite a lot of bugs to like make the amount of protein that you need to, make flour to bake with. And at first, I had read about mealworms and how, they're super nutritious and they're kind of easier to work with because they're not hopping around. So I came home, and at the time, like I didn't know what I was doing at all, so I just bought some from a pet store, and I came home, and they were in soil, so I did some reading online, and it was like, okay, you have to take them out of the soil and put them into like a different substrate that is actually food. So I took them out of the soil, put them in like oatmeal for a few days, and fed them like oatmeal and apples and stuff before we cooked them. But I came home with this writhing like container of soil with worms in it, and my husband was like, nope. I'm out. Like he was like, I'm not participating in this, you're crazy. But he came around.
That was like the first time you were giving people baked goods though. Like how did people react to it?
I guess either my friends are really polite or tolerant or like something. I don't know, because I was sort of just inventing recipes also. So this is going to sound really weird, but it's really tasty. Like the first time, so I dry roasted the mealworms. I ground them down in a Vitamix, and then I made these energy bars that had dried plums, otherwise known as prunes, and bananas as like the sticky stuff to hold the bar together, and mealworms and cinnamon, maybe coconut oil, and like made it into a bar, and it was delicious. But it was like, I don't know, I just sliced them up, like sprinkled some toasted coconut on them, and like took them to a party, and I told people what they were, and like everybody tried them, and they were pretty open-minded. I guess the thing is, like, from the very start, I've been shocked at how open-minded people are. Of course you get people that are like, no way. But a lot of times, if you've already sort of told them about the health benefits and how good they are for the environment and everything, they're at least willing to give it a try. If they open their minds and you give them the opportunity to have a taste and it's not delicious, you are done. So I always say, like, our competition is insect-based foods that are not delicious. You know, like, there's other products out on the market. There's energy bars. There's other chips. There's a few things out there, but if people make things that are tasty, it's like, you know, a rising tide carries all ships. It's fine. But if somebody makes something disgusting, I'm like, you dummy. Because you can make something disgusting with anything. You can make... It's like, don't screw this up.
Don't screw this up for all of us.
Yeah.